Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for whoever is connected to us today. I'm going to talk about the big data to smart data and how data is fueling our disruptive technology. My name is Hoda Alkhzaimi. I'm the director for Center for Cybersecurity in New York University, Abu Dhabi Research Assistant Professor in Department of Engineering in NYU. I'm as well the president of Emirates Digital Association for Women and the lead of Women in AI Middle East. I don't want to go through the introduction, but I have a Center for Emerging and Advanced Research Acceleration for Technology, Security, and Cryptology, where we conduct research, educate the public narrative, shape the public discourse, and build industrial ecosystems around emerging technology, security, and cryptology. Amidst that, we also discuss AI issues. So, when we are talking today about the data economy or the digital economy in general, we have to acknowledge that there is an increase in adoption to the several disruptive technologies that are arising amidst us. And this disruption is not new. It has been happening for the past few decades and it will carry on the past, on the future kind of waves of innovation. How does it impact our technology build is something that we should really be mindful of. Today, we are talking about having internet users that are expected to hit 5.3 billion users globally. And 2025, we're anticipating to have a hosting that would reach 77.78 billions in the midst of estimated global tech startups in the range in the eras of the internet to be around 1.47 million globally. So it's a hype and a rise for the digital platform that we cannot deny. Maybe it's empowered by the fact that by Moore's law, and I am not sure how many of you are familiar with Moore's law when it talks about that every 18 months our computing power is going to be doubled. And when we double computing power, we also are doubling transistor density, which means that we'll improve computing power and pervasive small devices. And this increment in pervasive small devices would give us a rise at which the technology development will be growing and evolving on a daily basis. So within semiconductor industries, for example, it's an industry that used to take the 15th place universally in 2000, and today it is taking the third place in the long-term implied economic profit globally. So when that's taken into account, it means that we are living in a decade where we will be building smaller technologies at an accelerated rate to influence multiple factors of productivity. But the number one factor that we have to be mindful of amidst the fact that we are running a technology hardware hype at the moment is the amount of data that we are producing. If I asked you how much data are you producing on a daily basis, it's actually around 2.5 quintillion bytes. And within 2.5 quintillion bytes, in an age of IoT, where we are supposed to have over 50 billion devices globally for IoT devices that are available, then we are at a very, I would say, critical economic race. Amidst that, we know that 45% of the data that we are using today and insights and decision making are contributing directly to the digital economy of different corporates and organizations around the world, where nearly half of people who were surveyed says that 13% of the industry leading initiatives they're around data economy, and 27% of that has a maturity to build business insights around data, and 15% of that say that they are starting their data journey. So, in reality, we're living into big data, but actually smart data ecosystems that are intertwining government, research, academia, and industry together to provide a data value chain in order to develop new technologies that did not exist in the past. We're talking today about marketplaces based on data that exist. And these marketplaces on the metaverse and the new technology, disruptive technologies, for example, they're dictating a new level of privacy and as well security aspects that need to be evolving and need to be developed. And when we are saying this, it means that the user is not anymore a user who would be accepting the privacy terms that we are seeing on the different platform, but a user who would love to selectively, for example, sell and share their data for a monetary value. If we are trying to analyze globally uh, with the current economic structure that we're building, who is benefiting from the data economy? You could see that the major data-based platforms like Facebook, Alphabet, Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon are the main hubs of economic of cultivating the main hubs that are cultivating economic profits around data. But in Asia and in Europe as well, we could see a rise of different companies that are rising around data equally. So data today is the big value, is where the big value resides. And it's where we are seeing these new trends that tells you that the market gain today is centered around data incentive companies that are outperforming the average companies and the SP 500s. If you could see from this graph, you could see the likes of Alphabet, Alibaba, Facebook, and as well SP 500, where we're seeing the data companies outperforming the SP 500 companies today. Again, it's not just a use case of healthcare or marketing, but also mobility. Like if we looked at the amount of smart data that is being utilized and actually cultivated around mobility platform, you could see them on the different formats. You could see companies that are being built around navigation devices and navigation platforms, companies that they are built around mapping or city transits, companies that they are built around urban planning or infrastructure development, around telematics and insurance tech for driving, for improving the driving experience. And today, when we are living a climate technology hype, it's also companies that are using this data, this transportation data, to improve the energy transitions that the world is going through when it comes to offsetting the carbon footprint of the drivers, and also when it comes to sharing the energy that comes from the different, for example, electric vehicle devices generated globally. So again, we are building this kind of data hype that are running, if you can see from this slide, from 2016 to 2025, we have an accelerated and booming investment in data centers, for example, growing from $1 billion to $22 billion into different platforms, and particularly on data that is being used on analytics and AI chip markets that we are calling it today. And coupling that with the acceleration that's happening on building the new generations for communication, the fifth generation and the sixth generation today, we are going to see a huge level of autonomy when it comes to building not just data strategies or AI data strategies, but also building ecosystems, economic ecosystems around them globally. Again, with data comes great responsibility, a great ethical responsibility for how we are handling the governance of this data, who has access to this data, and what kind of ethical components and regulatory components that should be built around data and analytics systems that are built around them. And how can we as well improve accessibility of a digitalization um, uh, uh, presence for users who are building their virtual personas around these data, for example, not just in the metaverse, around different units globally. This is why looking at the matrices like the benchmarks that exist around evaluating the global cybersecurity index is important, because it's not just about utilizing the data, but about making sure you utilize them in a very reliable manner. So, in today's economy, we're not just looking at the GDP of the world or the TFP of the world, the total factor of productivity, where you're analyzing the market growth with the technology and innovation that's going within a specific society or culture. But the combination of this with the accelerated new economies that you are building, how much of this GDP that you are cultivating, that you're actually using for your own R&D, and within that R&D, how much of it you're using to build and drive a data economic impact, how much of your innovation ecosystem is based on data, how much of your investment capital flow is going towards data, how much of your intellectual property laws and regulation is being put and built around cultivating data impact globally. So again, it is not just around the digital opportunity index that exists globally, where we are saying that we're living in a segregated world, where a third of the world population still unconnected. How can we build new economic opportunities for people to exist using data and provide accessibility to internet, accessibility to devices that are connected globally? These are the top countries around the world, for example, that thrives to provide that kind of digital opportunity index in an equal manner. And this is what data empowers us to see. It empowers us to see how can we build a better global presence for the wider population of people, and bringing more people into the economic production or the economic cultivation map than what we are seeing at the moment. And if we are talking about the impact of data on the innovation cycle, we could say that we surpassed the fourth wave of innovation, the fifth wave of innovation, the sixth wave of innovation, where we are trying to merge all of the new technologies that are existing today in AI, IoT, robotics, and drones, and clean tech, and data technologies all together in order to build a new economy that is going to surpass what we're saying at the moment when it comes to building Silicon Valley in specific regional global regions, but building a new type of Silicon Valleys that would exist on a virtual platform, and bringing opportunities together beyond what we see in the fourth industrial revolution, making sure that we fuse these technologies around AI, IoT, big data, blockchain, 3D printing, robotics, drones, and whatnot. We have to acknowledge that according to the OECD report, the investments that is going towards emerging technology or digital frontiers is growing from $350 billion to $3.2 trillion in 2025. Most of this technologies are based on data evolution and based on computing evolution that will be using data eventually. So it's the alternative computing, the applied AI, the trusted infrastructure, and the many other aspects that would exist. The ability to do predictive bioanalysis of biomarkers, for example, and monitoring gene editing is something that we'd see in the future. This, of course, will change the landscape of jobs and skills that are required to deal with data. There is a huge growth to low coding platform at the moment that are bringing over 1.7 trillion GDPs to the economy, and with direct value add of $475 million billion dollars globally, adding to over 2.5 million jobs growth on a global platform. The data that we're seeing today empowered the young adults to improve the job market during COVID, for example, and improve their recovery out of a crisis that happened within the pandemic. Again, we have to also have a great level of resilience to the new economy that's being built around data, because we've seen in the past, we keep saying in the past, there is a specific curve when it comes to innovating around new innovations. And after the growing hype, which will be at the peak here, you will see a decline of the use of data maybe, or of the optimized use of data for economic profit, until you see a specific stable growth. But for us, what is important is to empower the use of data within different economic verticals like healthcare and wellness, food technology, mobility, IoT, AI and machine learning, insurance technology, fintech, supply chain, and many others, and make sure that we fuse the new development of technologies like PCI, augmented reality, virtual reality, the mature platforms that we're building for Web3 and Web2 as well. Uh, Seeing this fusion is very important, because we're living in a world where we are advocating for building an equitable metaverse, for example, and an equitable technology, especially when we realize that one half of humanity still struggles for basic needs. So our technology adoption in 2025 and beyond shouldn't be just about building technology for the sake of building it, but building technology for the sake of empowering achievements of sustainable development goals across board, providing an equitable infrastructure of innovation, an equitable and transparent access to data to empower us to build the new future cities of the world, where there is this kind of connectivity between stakeholders and players and private, public education, industry, and government. Open R&Ds that would support academic research, industry labs, and community research labs for different purposes, different way of building policies and standards and regulations around data, providing measurable models for data, open data management utilizations, and research and development around it, in order to support all the vertices beyond what I'm just mentioning here on the slides, and providing for a new smart data economy. Thank you, and I wish you the best for the rest of your symposium. These are my contacts. Feel free to WhatsApp me or email me at any point for any questions. Thank you so much.